Oh my god, look at that. So adorable. One of them's given birth to 2 forest geckos. That is so dope.
So I've got some big news. Well, tiny news, like really tiny, because my New Zealand native forest gecko is now a single mum of 2. Well, actually 2 of them, which makes 4 babies, 2 sets of twins. That's right, these 2 mums have handed these little rascals off to me to raise, and now they're off living their best life. And let me tell you, this is not your average gecko story. These are New Zealand forest geckos, New Zealand forest gecko babies, adorable. Let's get into this. Meet our leading lady. Well, 2 of them actually. They're queens, they're camouflage warriors. They're both kind of lazy, but hey, they just gave birth to twins, so we'll let it slide. And guess what? These babies are twins, which is a fun fact and super rare for geckos. Most geckos are like, maybe 1 baby, take it or leave it, but not these gals. They went for a full 2-for-1 special. What absolute legends. But why twins? New Zealand geckos, like some other reptiles, exhibit a reproductive strategy known as viviparity, where they give birth to live young instead of laying eggs. This is relatively rare among geckos, as most species are oviparous, meaning that they're egg-laying. The tendency to give birth to twins, or even multiple offspring, is linked to several possible evolutionary and ecological factors. But remember, I ain't no scientist. These things like energy efficiency, evolutionary adaptation, genetic factors, this is all linked to possibly being located in a remote part of the world, an incredible climate. We've got microclimates, we've got amazing ecosystems, we've got extreme ranges of temperatures and conditions where these geckos thrive, so that could be part of it as well. But I don't want to bore you with all that, so let's stay on topic. Meet Greg. Greg is a male New Zealand forest gecko who got 2 females pregnant and then vanished like a tiny, scaly, deadbeat dad. And to be honest, I don't blame them. I mean, Greg is handsome, he's got great climbing skills and apparently irresistible gecko charm, but instead of settling down, well, he decided to spread the love twice and then gaps it. But we can't be too rough on Greg, I suppose, because New Zealand geckos are naturally solitary, meaning that they're not going to stick around.
Oh, you want to see something cooked? That's cooked. So many crickets, man.
So one day I noticed a very plump little gal. I mean, look at that belly. She can barely get into the water bowl. So I made it easier for her and I brought the food to her. But another thing I noticed, she would not leave this hide and this area, which is another key hint. So first hint, very plump little gal. Second hint is that they don't leave their area of refuge. So she would snatch her food and she would retract back into her hide, and that's where she'll digest her meal. So I started to get into it. You see, I didn't have much time. Under 6 months till birth. So I started building a nursery. And this nursery would have everything it needed to provide a sanctuary for the mothers and the younglings, springtails, cleanup crew, native plants. The purpose of this was to provide a space where the 2 females could give birth in private, kind of like a private hospital, and I could easily spot the babies. Something happened. Life began to grow. As soon as things were growing, this was a good sign. Now it was time to add the rest of it. 3 native plants for climbing and refuge, a UVB light and a LED light. And misting and more misting, of course. Life began to flourish in this nursery. More isopods to the mix, and some small garlic snails. Another key part of this journey was food. Food for the younglings. It was quite timely I had some cricket eggs incubating. And fingers and toes crossed that these cricket eggs hatch right at the right time, the right moment when these younglings are born into this world. The finishing touches were some branches for climbing and for them to bask on, the hides, very important, and getting both of the females into the nursery after some visual health checks. So what exactly am I looking for when I'm doing my visual health checks? Well, I look at their eyes, I look at their mouths, I look at their toes, make sure that there's no stuck shed skin, and I look at their bellies, of course, and I just want to make sure that they look active and healthy and happy. So both the females are now in there, and of course more misting. I can't help myself, but I want to make sure the environment's perfect. And they're exploring. They're exploring the new environment. Although it's a lot smaller, it's got everything they need. It's got branches, it's got lots of food, it's got hides, and it's a place and a sanctuary where they can feel safe while they prepare to birth their children, essentially. These 2 girls have been voracious eaters lately, and that makes total sense. I mean, they're eating for 3, essentially, both of them. So now we wait. We play the waiting game as they prepare, and we wait. I'm excited. So I've just had these forest geckos, 2 twins being born, I need to get them out very carefully and get them into a tub just so I can inspect them, and then get the females, the adults out, and then we're gonna have to go from there. I'm freaking out because they're so small.
They are absolutely gorgeous. This is a baby New Zealand Forest Gecko. They come out in twins. This is spectacular, man. I'm so excited. That is epic. Wow. What should I call them? I have no idea.
Look at them. Look at them. These nuggets are so small. They make a grain of rice look like a Thanksgiving turkey. And the timing was perfect. The crickets were also hatching. It's almost like the moon, the stars, and the solar system all planned for this. But they were already a few days old, so I was a little bit late, as I found tiny shedded skin. So I got them into a raising tub, added some tiny crickets, and watched. And within minutes, they're already climbing everything, like they're training for Gecko Ninja Warrior. Seriously, I turned my back for 2 seconds and one of them was already on the wall. How? I don't know. The first thing I needed to make sure of was that they were eating, and they could not resist the crickets. Raising these two is no joke. It's like a daycare. Constantly changing out messy paper towels, adding fresh branches, plenty of hiding spots, the right amount of humidity, and of course food, and lots of it. God, I just found another one in the big enclosure. What the hell? Triplets? I only got 2 females. What the hell? What's going on here? Where are these coming from? Kitty patootie though. So I made a rookie mistake and put the wrong female back into the outdoor enclosure, and 2 twins were born outside. So I had to go outside and search like a hawk for the second one. And I spotted him. Shh, don't scare him. This had to be tactical. They're not exactly graceful yet, but hey, neither was I as a baby. Actually, I'm still not graceful. I mean, just last night at 3 AM I stubbed my toe, but here we are. But just like human babies, all these 4 will do now is eat, poop, poop, eat, poop, rinse and repeat. But in all seriousness, as these guys hone in on their hunting skills, this is such a special moment for me. New Zealand native forest geckos are incredible animals, and seeing these little ones thrive is just, well, amazing. They're a reminder of how precious and unique our native wildlife is, and how freaking cute they are. I mean, like, come on, look at their little faces. So that's it. 4 babies born, 2 sets of twins. A first ever for me for this species. As the mother moves on, the babies will begin their fierce journeys for the next 18 to 24 months into adulthood. I'm Max, and for as long as I can remember I've been obsessed with ectotherms. And this is why I'm obsessed with ectotherms. New Zealand geckos. What a day to be alive. I'm going to talk to you about why this is such a big deal for me. I just had a New Zealand Forest Gecko, granulatus, give birth to 2 twins. Now, why is that a big deal? Firstly, I want to walk you through my journey. I'm Max. I've been obsessed with New Zealand geckos since I was a kid, and reptiles, amphibians, ectotherms, all that fun stuff. And I finally got a permit to keep New Zealand geckos in captivity, and now you need a permit to keep them in captivity. Fast forward 15, 20 years, I'm at a stage in my life where I have time and patience to have these animals in captivity. Now, firstly, let's talk about the life cycle. New Zealand geckos have a really interesting breeding pattern. The forest gecko, they start mating like towards the end of winter, which is weird, right? It's like super cold, especially here in the South Island, especially here in New Zealand. We've got some mad wild climates down here. That's about the right timestamp when I saw Greg, my big boy forest gecko, and he was doing some interesting things with one of the females. He's getting busy. That was end of winter last year. One of them was definitely gravid, and the other one I wasn't sure about, but she looked quite plump as well. I want them in the nursery just before February hits, just so I have enough time, because catching 2 baby newborn forest geckos, it's gonna be an absolute nightmare in that massive outdoor enclosure. February, here we are. Today is the day it happened, and I'm super stoked. They were probably born a few days ago just because they've already done a shed, so they've probably been in that enclosure for a few days. It's just very hard to spot them. I was just very fortunate that at the right time I was looking in the enclosure after I was giving the adults some flies. They were both up top in the corner, so very fortunate, very lucky, got them out. I'm keeping them in a small enclosure just for a couple of days to make sure that they're eating, so I'm giving them baby crickets, some fruit flies, just to see how they go. And I'm also going to keep the other female for a few more days just in case she decides to give birth to another another set of twins. Now, why do they give birth to twins? That's New Zealand geckos. All New Zealand geckos give birth to 2 live young every year or every second year, depending on the species. Now, I don't know why it's twins. It's just part of their life cycle. They give birth to twins and they're absolutely gorgeous. I'm stoked. I'm excited. If you've got, so these 2 little guys are going to be nurtured. I'm going to watch them grow. I'm going to keep them for at least a year. And then at that stage, I'll either have to gift them to a wildlife park or a zoo that has permits to hold them and who need baby forest geckos, or maybe to other keepers around the country that have the permit, or I'll just keep them and be like, this is my first generation I've ever bred in my life and my experience of New Zealand geckos. I'm stoked. This is a tick in the box for me, and I'm looking forward to what's next. Stay tuned.